It is time again for They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by...
Daniel Bishop.
Yo, yo, yo! Daniel Bishop!
Hello,
Another day, another dollar.
Another $90,000.
Ooh.
I'm doing the, for those of you listening, I'm doing the Dr. Evil.
The Dr. Evil.
Bum, bum, bum.
Knocking
Why did I say $90,000? I'll tell you, those of you who are wondering and asking. It's because my quote-unquote favorite cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, is rocketing up to an all-time high, but maybe there's just a little bit of FOMO finance going on.
We will also be discussing why buying high should never be Daniel's crypto strategy.
Yeah, why it always is. Regarding that, I wonder if we should be talking about crypto AI's quiet partner, or maybe they're just being GPU hogs.
Nvidia reigns supreme in AI, but are its glory days numbered?
Well, we'll find out. We're also going to talk about Apple Intelligence, not your regular AI, not your daddy's AI, but Apple Intelligence, which is finally here, and Hunter's going to tell us all about it.
And finally, Daniel teases our taste buds with some cod and cream sauce, his latest AI-driven dinner, this time with the Foresty twist. It is all coming up right now because you are listening to...
They might be self-aware.
You see Bitcoin hitting an all-time high right now?
I didn't.
I think it's in celebration of they might be self-aware. No. I can't think of any other reason why it might be going to the moon.
I'll tell you why. I know exactly why.
Oh,
it's
yeah?
because back in, I don't know, like June or something like that, it had been like hovering around and kind of going down from 70,000. And I said, all right, we've got to be basically at the top, right?
Yeah.
I'm out. And then for the next couple of months or so, I'm looking at a chart right now. It kind of wiggled around 70 and then go down to like 60. It was starting to think maybe it's headed toward 50.
I think it did touch the 50s.
Yeah, it got into the 50s for sure. A low at like 54.
Yep.
And yeah, starting in early October, it just decided to go back up again. I should buy some Bitcoin and make it crash.
Now may
Every
not
time I do it.
be the time. I don't know. I think if you buy it right now, it has to be something that you're planning to hold for, a couple of years before you sell. I probably wouldn't buy it right now as part of some sort of a swing trade.
I just hold long enough to realize that I'm losing money on it, and then I cut my losses, and then it shoots upwards. It would be the fourth time, I think, now that I would have invested in Bitcoin.
I can share an insight that has dramatically improved my returns. That said, past progress doesn't equal, future potential. And this is not financial advice. I know you thought that we must be incredibly talented financial experts giving you all the wisdom. No. You should really, you really even shouldn't be listening to this. But I'll give you my insight that's really helped my returns. Historically speaking, and I love thinking about the future in terms of history, the thing that you can count on the most is that history will repeat itself. But historically speaking, and Bitcoin's been around now for like 20 plus years, historically speaking, it's always gone back up. So if you're willing to ride out the I'm down 20% right now, I could go down 30, 40. If you're willing to ride it out, historically speaking, it's always come back. And this has held true and holds true today as we touch on these all-time highs. So if you can get to the point where you don't sell when it drops 20%, all of a sudden you might see some positive changes in your returns. That's insight number one. And then insight number two is wait until it is crashing and going way down to purchase it. Try not to purchase it when it's at the top and everybody's talking about it. It's hitting those all-time highs because there doesn't tend to be much immediate opportunity to go up again.
But the number's going up right now, and so
it is going up.
I want to I wouldn't be there with it while it goes up, right?
You do, and it may very well continue to go up
Forever.
I think there's compelling argument that we're going to see it continue to rise at least through the inauguration, because the administration coming in has campaigned on a very bullish foundation, political environment for crypto and Bitcoin. So it's seen as being very supportive. I imagine that after the inauguration that it'll die down a little bit, waiting for them to take some action. And I could see it going back down, but you know, a lot of people are predicting giant numbers. However, historically, they're always predicting giant numbers. It's always like by the end of the week, it could be at $250,000. And the reality is it goes up like $5,000 and crashes down like, you know, $45,000 or something like that. That's been my history with it. But yeah, so those are some insights. And then I guess the last insight for how to actually make money doing it is you have to cash out while it's up, right? You have to take your profits, and taking your profits.
This is all fascinating.
Because
I don't do any of that. What I do is I buy high, and then I see the number go down, and I go, "Oops, that was a mistake," and then I lose money.
Right.
Yeah. So I realize those losses. No. Here, see, this is where it gets really clever, and then I do the exact same thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, I should start a fund where it's the reverse Daniel index. And it's just, what would I do? And then the advice given to people is not that. Just
that's
whatever
like the
opposite
reverse,
of that is.
the reverse Kramer. I don't know if you're,
right.
You just always do the opposite of what Kramer says.
Reverse Kramer, reverse Daniel. I mean, I think we're onto something here. For $299 a month, you can subscribe to my extremely bad takes in the financial industry and then just do whatever I wouldn't.
And by the way, for this run, two things. First, Kramer said on the election's eve, Trump's not winning this thing. Number one, wrong there. And then number two, that is going down. So this is another example of the reverse Kramer working out. It has a pretty good track record.
So you're saying I'm just as good as him?
I mean, he has his own TV show. He could turn around.
We have our own
and
podcast.
Honks things, makes lots of sound effects.
Oh, that's what we need. We need a honk sound effect. For those of you watching, maybe we can like do a Ren and Stimpy style gross ups on us, and you can get that foghorn sound effect.
I did
really morning zoo this up. Make sure to hit us up in the comments and tell us if you think that this is another one of Daniel's sort of financially terrible ideas, or if this is a great idea.
I did like Ren and Stimpy. I feel like it changed. There was like the original-ish episodes, and at some point it sort of changed into something else. But that was Adult Swim before there was an Adult Swim, and it was on Nickelodeon. And it was like, what is this? I don't know. Good times. But I was wondering with the crypto, where is AI in all this? AI is dominating everything. It's taking over every industry. Right? Every job's going to be gone because AI replaces it. But
is this just like it's a bunch of GPUs that are slowly cooking the earth for, depending on who you ask, absolutely no tangible benefits, and it's just two sort of iterations of the same thing? Or are you implying that like AI, and by that I really mean generative AI / large language models, and crypto having some sort of like intersection? Because thus far, outside of like read the financial news and give me some advice, I don't see the link between them.
There's surprisingly little intersection between the two, where you would think, because they're both quote unquote cutting edge technologies, they both heavily leverage large GPUs, that the two would be far more symbiotic than they are. Of course, there are startups that are saying, we're an AI startup and we're going to put stuff on the blockchain, but that's not the narrative that's dominating. Bitcoin is something very, very separate from AI, and there's very little overlap that I'm
They're
observing.
both helping prop up Nvidia's stock price.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm bullish long term on Nvidia. I think I would predict that it goes down. Wait. What say you? So I can take the opposite.
I have a bunch of stock in Nvidia.
Sorry.
So time to short them, or whatever it is that you do.
They're a super cool company, but it's built on their dominance in GPUs, and I just think they have it now, but
GPUs,
long term,
the things that are like running the world now.
But they have no competition, and I don't. There's so many people that are focused in on making huge improvements and revolutions in that industry. Apple being one among them, by the way. I don't see that dominance lasting much longer. And I'm not sure what Nvidia looks like when they aren't dominating, providing really expensive GPUs to AI data centers.
Maybe they can go back to making cards for actual gamers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll go away by any means. I just don't think that they're not dominating a really large portion of the market as they are today.
Well, hopefully you warn me before that happens and the stock starts to tank.
Stocks only go up. That's the takeaway here. Stocks and crypto only go up, and you should be leveraging everything you have and putting it all in. Just pick a random meme coin. We should have a random meme coin so that people can give us all of their money.
No, I'm putting the kibosh on that one immediately.
All right, there's no maybe on the underground you could find it. I don't know.
No self-aware bucks.
Self-aware. All right.
I wanted to talk about some large language model stuff with you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've got
AI.
some AI, and
before we get into whatever you had planned, though,
sure.
I do have a curveball for you.
All right, man.
All right. I think this is fair use. I'm going to try and keep it to like 6 seconds, but I'm going to sing you a little song.
Okay.
I'll stop there. Does that sound familiar to you?
It does sound familiar, but I'm not immediately placing it. But it does have a little bit of like an earworm effect on me.
It's my washer, my
what?
clothes washer or dryer. It's a South Korean made device. I think it's a Samsung, and they sing to you when they're done with their various little activities. And apparently that's a portion of another song whose name I do not remember right now, nor have I actually listened to the real version of it. But like this little jingle that my washer and my dryer and my rice cooker and so on all make, different jingles for each thing, they're informative, right? It's, hey, I'm done now and I'm going to sing you a little song to let you know that I'm done with this thing. Not everyone likes those jingles.
Yes.
And we're seeing some real improvements in edge computing capabilities for like really small large language models. I'm wondering, should we just stick a Raspberry Pi style thing into my washer and my dryer and my dishwasher and my rice cooker and so on and let them just tell us when they're done?
I am done.
Right. Hey, rice is ready.
I had a similar
Would that be better?
Experience. I was getting deep into the rice cooker world, and per my research, the best one to get was this Korean model. And so I end up with this giant, it's bright pink Korean rice cooker that has fuzzy logic, which I still don't understand exactly what it was.
Is this one of the Zojirushis, or is this I
don't remember the name. I don't remember the name.
I've got a Zojirushi, and I love it.
Korean to me, and it would sing songs when it was done. I'm not going to do it because I'm sure it would be offensive. So we're just going to, but imagine singing Korean songs. And I didn't like the rice either, by the way. It was too sticky. But to answer your question, should rice makers become self-aware? Yeah, why not? Why not?
Right. Speaking of fuzzy logic, I mean, we have these non-deterministic processes that are going on for large language models. That sounds fuzzy to me. As long as the rice doesn't come out fuzzy.
The rice was fuzzy. I don't like a sticky rice. I like every
so get a different varietal
kernel
rice.
To be
There's different kinds of rice out there.
Yes, but in this rice cooker, it was all just came out kind of like sticky. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a basmati rice man. What's your go-to rice?
I don't know. There's some like California grown like short grain rices that are supposed to be
I like
really
a longer
good.
grain. You prefer shorter grain?
Yeah, I think sort of in general.
And this has been Rice Talk, people. Without question, the thing you tuned in to hear us discuss.
Yep. They might be full of rice.
All right.
Oh, should we just do a bunch of like fun little side segments where it's they might be, and then it's not self-aware, it's some other thing. They might be full of rice. They might be discussing appliances.
Comment below if that's your dream episode, and if it is, we will make it a reality, or at a minimum we'll throw it into a prompt and see what comes out. And
they might be eating food. There we go. Okay, here's one. I used Claude so if for those of you who've been longtime listeners, you may remember that I used OpenAI to plan out and make, and then, well, it didn't help. I'm the one who ate a meal that was sort of planned out by AI. I decided to give Claude a shot at my palate. You know, it's only fair to let other competing services have a whack.
Claude 3.5 Sonnet or which?
Yes,
which Claude?
3.5 Sonnet.
Which, hold on a second.
3.5 Sonnet parentheses new.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. What is that? They released an update to 3.5 Sonnet, but they're not giving. It's not 3.6. It's still 3.5.
It's because they didn't want to have a new set of API endpoints.
Okay.
I think that they saw this as so closely related to what was already out there and just objectively better that they said it's not going to, because otherwise 3.5 Sonnet has to then be deprecated and it goes away in a year, and everyone who's already set up all of their systems to use that gets really mad whenever they have to change a bunch of their backend code. So instead it's still 3.5. It's just the same endpoint.
And did you see...
That is my suspicion.
Before we get back to your Claude journeys, did you see the other thing where they released an update to one of their other models, and they put out a press release saying this model is way better than our old version. It's actually much cheaper for us to run, but because the quality of the output's so much higher, we're increasing the price to all of you. Did you catch that one?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that got a lot of flack because people are like, hold on a second, you just said it's cheaper for you to run. Why are you charging us more? And they're like, because the quality's better.
Because it's better,
so
sure.
You should pay more
I
for it.
get that. I mean, 3.5's, a higher cost model.
Yeah. All right, sorry, back to you. You were cooking with Claude, is that right?
Cooking with Claude.
Yeah.
They might be cooking with Claude, with Daniel. Cooking with Claude with Daniel, yep. I had some ideas of what I wanted to make over the course of X number of days, and I wanted to make sure that I had some leftovers and so on. And so I asked Claude, here's the kinds of things I'm interested in. Can you help me come up with, especially something that's going to reuse ingredients where I can, if I'm getting a leek, let me at least use it in 2 different recipes because I'm not going to need a whole friggin' leek or whatever. I didn't actually say the thing about a leek, but that's the idea that I had in my mind. And after a very small amount of back and forth, but I want to talk about that back and forth.
Okay.
We ended up making a cream sauce to go over some pasta with a Atlantic cod.
All right.
Which was really good, and I personally don't gravitate toward cod. I said oh no, I was thinking of making a salmon dish, and then after this sort of back and forth, we ended up deciding on cod, and why cod? Because it's more flaky, or is this or this or this, and I made it exactly as written. It was good. It was fine. It was not great, and in fact, my wife and I were discussing as we were eating it, what would we do to change this? It left out acid, so I took a little splash of lemon juice and added that to the end, and that really helped kind of pop the dish into a next little level. But frankly, beyond that, Claude came up with a perfectly reasonable idea, and I also asked it for a wine pairing. It did a great job with the wine pairing, and I asked for a non-alcoholic pairing for my kid, and it came up with Forest juice. It had to come up with a cute little name for it, and it was sparkling apple juice, a little bit of pear, and just a tiny little thing of fresh thyme in there to kind of give it that foresty air.
Mocktail action.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm extremely happy with how the whole thing turned out. I don't know how much I would trust Claude or OpenAI or Meta or whoever to be fully in charge of my entire life's worth of food at this point. But I do think occasionally, especially if you have something kind of in mind already, it can really help point you in some very interesting directions. Now, to come back to what I said earlier, there was a back and forth. I like Claude way better for collaboration than I do OpenAI. OpenAI, ChatGPT, GPT-4, whatever, if you're hitting that over API, whatever it is, tends to just say here is something that I want. Great, here are 5 options, or here is my thought, and it just kind of gives it to you. Claude has been tuned very much to say, okay, you gave me this information, here are some thoughts, and then like it tends to have as a paragraph at the bottom, here's like 5 follow-up questions, or here's things that would be next steps. Which of these do you want to like follow? I really appreciate that. Now, in terms of the actual smarts, I think that these things are probably at a broad level around the same level of like quote unquote intelligence. But to have the AI not just assert something at you and like be done, to really understand this may be an ongoing conversation. Which of these things do you want to kind of follow up on next? I love that. I really, really love that. And I think that that makes this much more of a collaborative experience rather than a Siri style, I ask a question, I get an answer, we are now done.
You can
transactional
prompt OpenAI to have those types of things.
But it isn't by default, and I don't think it's
correct.
as good.
We are looking for someone to help us with some of our short form content, posting to TikToks, YouTube Shorts, and it's been on the to-do list a long time to like start trying to find this person. And I couldn't really wrap my head around exactly what the job is and the job description. So I went to Foro and gave it my like spiel about what I'm thinking, and then asked it to interview me to determine who it is we need to hire. And I told it, at the end of this, I want you to write up a job description, but start by interviewing me. And it came up with, I think, like 15 questions, all of which I just verbally answered using a super whisper. So just like, kind of train of thought, here it is. And then it spat out something, which we're still refining. But yeah, those experiences can be a little magical.
Yeah. Which I think is very much what they're going for, those magic moments. And I definitely have seen more of those personally via Claude, at least recently, especially with its ability to like make multiple artifacts and like a project kind of all at once. I've definitely seen that as the more impressive of the models lately.
I'd like to talk about something that's not very magical, and that is Apple Intelligence. The promised land of AI. I thought we were finally understanding what that AI stood for, Apple Intelligence.
Right.
I bought, so if you're not entirely in the loop, Apple comes out with a new iPhone every single year. And the landmark feature of this year's iPhones, the thing that they centered all of their marketing around, is this is the first iPhone built for AI, Apple Intelligence.
Right.
Well, the phone ships and it doesn't have any Apple Intelligence in it, but it's just trust us. It's coming. Maybe in a month, we're going to give you some of it.
The hardware is there for it.
Yeah,
but it's ready once we are.
Please purchase now. Now, by the way, it's a great iPhone otherwise, but the landmark foundational feature of this is Apple Intelligence, and it's completely missing when it ships.
The reason to upgrade.
Okay. All right. But man, I keep my cool. I'm like, I trust Apple. They're going to make this thing happen. Uh-huh. So it's been about a month since then, and they finally released the first updates. Is it 14.15.1, I think. It comes around and it features the first of potentially many Apple Intelligence features. So I download it to my phone. The second it starts appearing on servers. And
you wait in line overnight.
It reboots
to get first in line. Yeah.
And I can't, nothing's different. And I'm looking around and where are these Apple Intelligence features? Well, they're in beta. And in order to use them, first you got to go into the settings and find it. Then you have to join a wait list in order to potentially get access to these groundbreaking features, which I'm like, yeah, you sold me this phone, which was ridiculously expensive based upon this feature. And you told me you're going to get the first part of it in a month. A month finally comes around and I got to join a wait list to get these features.
Real quick. Is this your first Apple product?
No, I had the original iPhone. And
okay, how are you surprised by any of this? This is how they work.
This is not how they work. Apple waits until things are ready and then ships something that is a shippable. I mean, that's what they're known for. They're not cutting edge. They wait until it's mature and then they build a version leveraging the mature technology that's more polished than everyone else.
I don't know. It feels fairly Apple to me to be waiting in line for a thing. So
okay, there's a lot of waiting in line for Apple, and I have. It's been
you got to
many
really
years.
build that hype. It couldn't be hyped up enough if they just gave you access to it.
I have camped outside of an Apple store waiting in line for an iPhone many years ago.
I've made my point. So you get in to
So you get in the wait list. And credit to them, I got through the wait list very quickly. Like maybe a day later, they're like, "Oh, congratulations! You know, you're off the wait list for this $1,500 phone that you purchased for this one feature." Okay,
they could have just let you in, but wait list.
And all right, so finally, I have the features, so it's enabled, and still, so there's not much in this first release. You have these what they call them writing controls, where it will take text that you've written. And you can ask it to proofread it. You can ask it to make it more professional. And there's one more button, which escapes me, but the writing controls. And so I go and I'm like, all right, let me go to text message. Let me write something. Let me make it more professional. But
you open up Slack and you're about to send a scathing message to someone and you say, well, what if we cooled this off?
Yeah, but I can't find the writing controls. Where are these writing controls? And I'm like Googling, how do I access the writing controls? And so what you have to do is first you write whatever you want to write. Then you tap and hold, which brings up the select interface. And then you like drag your finger over the part that you want it to edit. And then a context window pops up where you can select writing tools. And the prompts come up where you can say like, okay, make it more professional or proofread it. And it will do it. But it
sounds like way too much work for an Apple product, isn't it? Usually supposed to be right there.
And you asked before, is this going to replace Grammarly? Or we discussed Grammarly and will this?
Right.
And I love Grammarly and I've been a Grammarly customer for a long time and I use it on my phone as well. And the Grammarly interface is wildly better because the Grammarly interface integrates directly with the keyboard on the iPhone, where it's showing me suggestions within the keyboard, and there's one button I can press at any time that just takes the text and loads it up in the Grammarly interface to improve it. But I don't know. So anyways, that interface is just wildly underwhelming. The output is just like it's fine, but like I'm much more likely to use some other app or Grammarly to do something like that. Then the next thing is object removal from photos, which I think Android's had for a very long time. But
I was going to say, yeah, I've got an Android and I know we've got that for a while.
Yeah. So the idea here is you take a photo, there's a trash can in the photo, you say, I want to remove it, you press the remove button, and then you like push your little finger around over the trash can and it magically removes. It's okay. It is far behind what's in, for example, Photoshop right now, and it's object
content
removal.
Aware.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. That's been out for years.
So it's like, way behind what I would consider cutting edge. And then the last thing that is there now is, so there's a notes app where you can take voice, or I think it's called voice memos app, where you can take voice memos and it'll automatically transcribe those. And that's decent, but it's just so underwhelming in comparison to what the technology is capable of today and the level of integration that I was expecting. And it just feels like they're taking a very cautious approach, and it might be the right approach. It's just not an approach that I'm enjoying. We're just going to slowly introduce these small little features that are like making things, I don't even know, 0.5% better, maybe less than 0.5% better. And over time it'll stack up on each other, on top of each other.
Okay, so you said just a little bit ago that Apple is waiting for technology to be more mature, and then they try to let it out in a more polished
historically
sort of
that's
fashion.
what they've done.
Now, is that not close to the ethos of what's happening here? Because some people are really swinging for the fences on the AI front and, possibly screwing up. And there are negative side effects that have come out from some rollouts of AI. Is it unreasonable then to say that Apple is playing it safe by doing little bitty additions, but touting it's Apple Intelligence, we've got this huge big new thing, and then it's just this tiny little but highly, highly, highly controlled use case where it can't ruffle too many feathers, and they've tested the absolute snot out of it, and it's got 8 layers of guardrails probably underneath it to make sure that it doesn't spout off something too racist or whatever. That sounds kind of like the MO of what Apple would be doing to me.
Yes, but it's missing the user experience part of it. It's like hard to find it. It's hard to figure out how to do it. That's the non-Apple part of the way. Like it seems to me they're hiding it. They're trying to make it, you got to really want to use this functionality in order to use it. And I guess
that's their way of hedging their bets during this beta.
And keeping it in beta.
Yeah, let's make sure that it's not something that everyone's grandmother can start using accidentally.
Maybe they're just waiting for it to become self-aware. Maybe. Ow! I just hit my hand, and I was trying to make like a loud sound, but it just knocked.
We need to get you a gavel.
We are adjourned. You've been listening to They Might Be Self-Aware. Like and subscribe if you want more incredible content, and incredible talent. Talent delivering the incredible content. You can find us on pretty much every platform you might find a podcast kind of thing. Watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast directory you like. Give us some ratings, give us some feedback. We love that stuff. And we've been seeing a little bit more of it too, and that's great to see. But we'd
love to see yours.
We will be back later this week with another episode. And until next time,
They might be self-aware.